Welcome to Cobra Kai Never Dies. I'm your host, Nina.
I'm your other host, Lata. And today we are actually doing the Karate Kid 2. We're also in separate rooms because, Nina, what's going on right now in the world for our listeners from 10 years from now to know about?
Well, let's just say it has been either 40 years or about a month since a terrible plague has come through the States and most of the world, and we're all stuck inside. And yeah, it's terrifying. The skies have darkened. The only time we're leaving the house is to get groceries. I was in a Trader Joe's bread line for what felt like 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, the Trader Joe's line has gotten pretty out of control recently. And you know what? But through it all, we were like, but our listeners really need to know, how was the Karate Kid Part 2? And so we rigged up some equipment so we could podcast remotely. I'm very proud of us, actually.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have commitment. In the face of this horrible situation, we said, no, you know what? The world needs to hear this. The world needs to hear our commentary on a sequel to a movie that came out in the early 80s. Yes.
Yep, and they need to hear it now. As Nina speculated, we may be the only people who have ever recorded a COVID-19 quarantine podcast on the Karate Kid 2.
Also, I mean, shit. This is the time. We don't know when this lockdown is going to lift, and everyone has, by this, like 6 weeks in, we've probably already binged the premium shows and the premium movies, and now we're strictly in the next layer of content where you're like,
Yep,
maybe I will listen
utter
to a Karate Kid podcast.
You were like,
yes,
right? What are you doing?
And
nothing.
You missed us, did you not? Because I mean, I will say I've been a little down about our current situation. I've been posting all the memes. I was just taking a moment like Miyagi would want us to do, to look inwards and think about balance and think about, actually, here's a fun thing. How do you think each of the Cobra Kai characters would deal with quarantine and this situation? I'm just curious.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I think Johnny would drink a lot because you know what? A lot of people are drinking a lot and there's no judgment. In a way, it would just make his alcoholism more socially acceptable.
Right.
Also, a lot of porn watching is going on, and I think Johnny would be behind that too.
Yeah, he's discovered porn already. He knows it. Pornhub is
right.
alive
I
and
mean,
well.
at least he knows the internet has some things like that, like the wet t-shirt contest. Soon he'll get to hardcore pornography and he'll be fine. I imagine Hawk being like, fuck social distancing. No virus is going to kill me. Viruses are for cucks, and then dying.
Oh, yeah, he'll be dead.
That's what I got.
Sure. What do you think Kreese is up to? How do you think?
Oh, Jesus. See, although Kreese is probably in 9 different risk groups for the coronavirus, he probably somehow, like a cockroach or a salamander, has immunity to it. So I think he would be one of those people buying up all the toilet paper in different places and then gouging other people.
That's true. And what about our friend Danielson?
Oh, jeez. Inside his Southern California manse, I think he probably has enough supplies to last him till the apocalypse.
That's true. And he even has his own dojo inside, so he'd probably still try to keep the business going. The quote business.
He'd probably still keep trying to run the dojo and call it an essential service. And he'd be really offended if anybody said it wasn't one.
That is 100% true. And he's probably ordering sushi. Like those fucking delivery people are like, why? It's just nothing but Ponzu Toro every day for every meal.
Yes. It's Ponzu Toro and him trying to make a speech to like some city officials about how like Miyagi-Do saves lives and has to remain open. Yeah, no,
he's
there
trying
you go.
to befriend fishermen. They're like, put your fucking mask on, Daniel.
I mean, I gotta say though, one thing about wearing a mask is it does make you look like a ninja, and so I think everybody would be into that.
See, my cool masks have not gotten. I ordered them late, and it's taking the people on Etsy a while to sew them. So I found a hospital type mask in an old first aid kit, and
ooh,
I think now I'm
That's
just,
legit.
yeah. Well, it's like the paper mask, so you can still kind of breathe. And I soaked it in bleach to see if I could reuse it. I just feel like we're all doing this wrong in like 1,000 different ways. I think about like, wow, like what if I inhale the bleach and I get dizzy from the fumes and I hit my head on something and then people find me 7 weeks later? It's not
And develop
coronavirus that killed me.
superpowers and
It's
become
something
bleach
dumb.
girl. No? Yeah, I have this feeling that like people are going to look back on what we did in this time and they're going to be like, really? They thought that was helpful? We'll be like those people who are using leeches to cure everything?
Sure. I mean, when the Spanish flu was going around, that was when snake oil was actually considered, you know,
Oh, was
remedy.
it actually snake oil? Is
Yes,
that where like
yes.
that comes from?
Because I was looking up how DC dealt with the Spanish flu, and yeah, they had these old papers and like media, like there was a snake oil ad, an actual snake oil ad, which is amazing.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
that's so neat.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
listeners, if there are any of you, you may notice that we've avoided talking about the movie at all um, for quite a few minutes.
This is all
There's a reason for
relevant,
that.
Lata. I mean, because the historians are asking us to save our Zoom chats and our Zencaster notes and stuff to say how did we pass the time, and this is how we're passing the time. So yes, without further ado, should
Wait, and
we?
I want to like give some context behind how we saw this movie. Like, actually, our date to like get together and watch this and podcast about it was one of the last in-person appointments I made before everything went to shit. But on the day of, we were like, we've been encouraged to social distance, maybe not. So we did this like remotely via like a remote app, or at least we watched it together remotely, which was I mean, not the same really, but at least I could see your facial expressions and you could see mine, and we could keep up a chat about how much we hated the movie throughout the entire movie.
That's
So that's
true.
something.
But those
Anyways, we hated the movie.
don't give it away. I'm trying to find something positive to say about it. But I mean, this is what I was kind of afraid of. It was bad in that specific way where it was like, it wasn't even gloriously bad like Karate Kid Part 3, which I am dying to talk about. And I really hope quarantine is lifted because I want to see this with you in the room to see you take in the aura of Terry Silver. um, this movie,
I
however,
mean,
I feel like could have been just throw it on the dustbin of history. I don't want to remember this movie. It was
it's
so
true. And
terrible.
it was pretty terrible. And just to be honest, we watched it like 3 weeks ago, and I'm kind of fuzzy now on the details of it. But like, my God, why? Why did they think this was a good idea? We should probably summarize it in some
Okay,
sense
I have
form
the
because we
IMDb
would never want you guys to watch
synopsis.
it.
Um, Daniel accompanies his mentor, Mr. Miyagi, to Miyagi's childhood home in Okinawa. Miyagi visits his dying father and confronts his old rival, while Daniel falls in love and inadvertently makes a new rival of his own. Um,
Sure. Yeah. I think we should start with the only part of the movie that I feel like if you're a Karate Kid completist and you're like, man, I really want to make sure I've seen every bit of Karate Kid footage there is, but I don't actually want to sit down and watch this entire movie, you're well served by watching like the first 10 minutes, which are the only parts that like, it's right after the All Valley tournament. That's when Kreese attacks Johnny Lawrence in the parking lot because he came in second place, and that's like some footage that keeps getting recycled over and over again during the Cobra Kai series. So yeah, that's like the important canon here, right?
yeah, canon. That's
It's like a really defining moment for Johnny Lawrence, and I didn't realize it came in the beginning of Karate Kid 2, a movie that has no other Johnny Lawrence scenes. But
that's true, and it's
yeah,
sad
so his
that Johnny
mentor
Lawrence
pulled the
is
shit out of him.
yeah. Um, and then how do we get to Okinawa again, Lutha?
Oh God! All right. So when Miyagi like steps in and confronts Kreese and gets him off Johnny, and like threatens to strike a deadly blow, but then ends up comically tweaking Kreese's nose. Pay attention. This will be important later. Then we like flash forwards like 6 months or something, and Daniel's basically like just been dumped by Allie, or he's just dumped Allie, and it's just like
Let's
they
talk
were
about
not
this
together
because
very long.
now we actually get they were together for maybe a few months.
Right, given all the drama of Karate Kid 1, you would have thought they would date like a year or something, but no, they don't make it
I'm
that far.
reading the Wikipedia entry because that is the only way I will remember the finer points of this subplot. But it says here he furiously explains that Allie has dumped him for a football player from UCLA. Guys, Allie
Oh,
is such a
okay.
player. I love
Right.
it. But it kind of
Yeah, I like that
the
too.
idea that they were like each other's one true love. I mean, she kind of seemed like she had a lot of true love.
She had a lot of irons and a lot of fires, and I mean that in a good way. So, and it's great that like like Johnny's like she was the love of my life, and Daniel was hung up on her, and she's like on to the next one, man. So, anyways, Daniel's like he's not even sad; he's really angry, and Miyagi is like, okay, well, I just got a letter from my dad who's sick and dying, and somehow this translates to him going to Okinawa, and then Daniel like
Daniel invites
coming
himself
with
along. Like that
Daniel
drives
cashes in his college fund for a plane ticket. Why? I
so
don't understand.
insane. That is so insane because I mean, his mom like works some sort of uh, not a high-paying job, so he's squandering this on a trip to Okinawa. Like what the
And even Miyagi is like, why are you here? I don't, and like, why is he here? Why did he think this was a good idea? Like, Miyagi didn't invite him. He just,
the
like,
whole theory
decides to
was
show up to
that
the airport.
Daniel is now officially Miyagi's stalker. Miyagi he could leave and just get on a plane and go back home and just this terrible summer where he's like forced to like defend this kid's bullies all the time. He's like, I'm an old man. I thought I was going to live a quiet life in LA. Instead, I've become like, muscle for Daniel.
Right? And Daniel just can't be left alone. So he's like, well, if you're going to Okinawa, I am too. And then, oh my God, there's this backstory about Miyagi. I'm going to just get it out of the way right now because it's really stupid and just, we don't need to like parcel out these
Oh, we
revelations.
will parcel it out.
Oh God, Miyagi, as a kid, teen, whatever, his dad like was a karate master. His friend Sato was a like both his friend and also his fellow student under his karate master father. And Miyagi fell in love with a girl named Yuki, but she was arranged to marry Sato. So Miyagi challenged. No, wait. But I think Miyagi like declared his love for her anyway, which was like a dishonor to Sato, who then challenged him to a fight to the death. But instead of fighting him, Miyagi left the country.
Do you feel like that's a
She,
reasonable response to to,
None of this is a
to
reasonable response to anything.
what is
I
wrong
mean,
with
first
this
of all,
village, though? Like,
also this fight to the death thing. I mean, like, okay, this isn't like feudalism. This isn't like medieval times. This was like I don't know, like the 1920s. Even then, that seems kind of like I know that was a long time ago, but I doubt fights to the death over people's hands in marriage
I
were
don't
that
know.
common in Japan.
Maybe Miyagi's like 300 years old. We don't know.
You raise a fair point. He could be. Oh, and also it turns out, sorry, spoiler, they get to Japan and Yuki never married Sato. Like she just said no.
And if you
And she's been like
you
pining after him.
get it. Um, and
Yeah, Sato's kind of a dick, but like
yeah. Should we parcel out the other revelation that Yuki never remarried, never just apparently stayed
never married at
single?
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like supposed to be sort of romantic that she's like kind of held a torch for Miyagi this whole time, but dude, he got married and had a son when he went to America. Like he
Immediately,
moved
he probably
on.
fled Okinawa, got off the plane. He was like, "Well, I'm single still, so
Ready to
I've
mingle.
been
Yeah.
celibate my whole life." Poor Yuki, man.
I know. And it's awful and like, even at the end of the movie when like it seems like hey, Yuki's single, Miyagi's single, nothing ever comes of it. Like they declare their love for each other, I think, at some point, but it's not like you ever see her
Yeah,
again
that's
after that. She's not in the
domestic
Karate Kid
love. I
3.
mean, who's gonna get action with Danielson lurking around? Like, we can get 5 fucking minutes alone.
Well, Daniel's son gets a little action
Oh God, yeah.
because yep, because what's her name? Yuki has a conveniently single and attractive niece, and he meets her. They hit it off, and it's just
Do you think
God,
they
it's
hit it
ridiculous.
off, or is the entire attraction that she has in some way related to Miyagi? Like The Miyagi
Oh
verse.
God. It seems like it would be a very Daniel thing to do to like go to Okinawa and marry a Japanese girl. Do you know what I mean? Like it seems like it would be like the
Oh yeah,
culmination of his journey.
yeah, that's true. That's actually the one part of the Cobra Kai series that doesn't make any sense is that I feel like he should have had an Asian wife, and it's very perplexing that he doesn't. I mean, this guy is
I
probably
think
part of
I
the
think the show
Okinawa
was like,
Students
nah, bridge too
Association.
far, perhaps. Yeah,
Should we talk
but
about
he has a
how
he.
depopulated the villages? That's what I remember.
Oh yeah, that is weird. And I learned about Okinawa from googling Okinawa after seeing this movie. But like in this movie, it seems like there are 5 people who live in the village, and so it's weird whenever like the village, like Miyagi's like the villagers are at risk. It's like really all 5 of them. They can't figure something else out.
Oh my God, you know what? So I'm skimming this Wikipedia description of the plot, and there are so many things that there was just no way we could have known this from watching the movie. And not that we were watching it super closely, but I'm saying, did you know that Miyagi and Daniel discovered that Sato has become a rich industrialist whose super trawlers have destroyed the local fish population, impoverishing the other villagers? They are
I swear
forced
to
to
God, that was
rent
never a line in the
property from
movie.
Sato, who owns the village's land title. Oh my God, the
Oh.
machinations.
Oh, it all comes together now. I mean, basically, it's like you see Sato, he's got a big car, he seems like a rich dude, and somehow, like, the village seems to be suffering in some unnameable way. I guess the Wikipedia article just named it, so that's good. Yeah, cool. And of course, like, Sato, like, 2 things that are very important. He has a nephew named Chosen, who immediately decides that Daniel is his arch enemy because you need to have him do something in the movie. And then Sato, meanwhile, is like, "Oh, Miyagi, I haven't seen you in 80 years. You know what? You give 3 days to mourn your dying father because his dad dies. Spoiler. And then after that, we're going to fight to the death." And both of these things are so stupid. I don't really know what to do with them. I don't know, man.
Oh God, yeah. Everything about this is like it. I guess they started filming Karate Kid Part 2 basically right away, right after the first one. And everything that made the first movie kind of endearing and special, like a fish out of water, like Daniel's this like Jersey kid and now he's living in California. And now it's like, oh, maybe they thought they could recreate that magic in Okinawa, but it's like it is the weirdest plot. And I will say I looked up some reviews and I'm telling you people liked this movie. Like
Did they
critically,
really?
it says it got mixed reviews, but I remember like looking up Ebert, who by the way, my opinion of Ebert has now changed. Ebert liked this movie.
What? I love Ebert. My God, how could what did he like about it?
Exactly. I mean, I always had this long-standing theory about Ebert because once I watched the movie Showgirls, which is a notoriously like campy, terrible movie, and I looked up the review, and Ebert inexplicably loved it, and I was just like, "Huh." And I looked up this other movie which had a ton of nudity, and I was just like, "I think Ebert likes movies where women are topless." That's just my.
Oh my God.
I'm
Wait,
saying
you're making me defend Ebert and Showgirls right now.
for all
I
the
actually see why someone would like Showgirls. It's so weird a movie that it's almost like,
sure.
okay movie,
No,
fine.
I'm
I'm
telling you,
kind of won over.
I've seen a lot of 90s movies. They're always reviewed by Ebert, and there's a thread because I looked up Home Alone and he hated Home Alone because he said there was too much violence in it. So I was like, okay, so sex is fine, but violence is too much for you,
Actually,
Ebert.
one of Ebert's like common opinions was that he felt like the MPAA rating system was like kind of flawed because it would immediately, anytime you see like a woman's bare breasts, like something gets slapped with an R rating, or like not, or a man's butt, or like basically anything that's like nudity or sexual was like immediately a hard R. But like you would have people getting decapitated all over the place, and it would still be PG-13. And it was like, isn't that an odd attitude? It's very American in its own way, right? That it's just
Well,
like
it's also
sex.
odd
Oh
to
God,
elevate a
no.
movie
Whereas
where
like death is okay. What?
but it's also odd to elevate a movie that is probably bad by all the metrics we would judge a movie, like poor script, poor acting. But if there's boobs in it, Ebert's all in, and suddenly
Oh,
the review.
oh,
I will. You know what? I
Ebert
should have.
Ebert had more taste than that. Ebert was. Why are we talking about this? Oh my god! But he
You
did like the Karate Kid too, so I don't know what to think anymore. I'm gonna have to go back and read this.
please, guys, tweet
Okay,
at us if the Ebert boobs theory holds water for you. I stand
such
by it.
slander.
I mean, if I had money, I'd go back to grad school and write a dissertation about it. But we're not.
I would go back to grad school and write a counter dissertation about it.
Bring
God
it
damn
on,
it!
we're both enrolling.
You were so the Siskel. I just can't take it. Um. Okay. Right.
Okay,
Karate Kid 2.
right. So, what
Yes.
should we talk about the actual karate part? Because it could take 5 minutes. So the
There was karate in this movie.
so this again, the wonders of this Wikipedia summary. It's jogging things back. Miyagi shows Daniel the handheld drum that his like the secret to his family's karate, and it's drum technique. So it's a move that Daniel, I guess, practices in this movie for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, and it has to do with blocking things and stuff. And that I get it. Every like movie has like some move that he learns, and like you see him building up to it. This one's kind of the payoff on this one is kind of like, oh, and then at the end of the movie, he uses the drum technique and he wins
I
against
feel like
Chosen.
I imagine this writer's room where they're like desperately trying to think of like innovative Miyagi karate metaphors, and they were like, okay, this drum seems like vaguely Asian, and it's just I don't understand. I don't know
Yeah,
what it means.
it does seem vaguely Asian, so why not? And yeah, I think that's. Is there any other karate in the movie? Shit. I mean, I'm actually starting to think like, okay, yeah, wait, wait,
Oh
wait,
my
wait, wait.
God,
Daniel is
Lata.
courting, right? Kumiko is her name. He's courting Kumiko, a random Japanese girl, and they're going to like arcades and stuff like that. For whatever it's worth, she wants to be a dancer one day, and so they talk a little bit about that. And anyways, like Chosen and his goons, like they're always like either vandalizing Miyagi's place or like when Daniel's on the date with this chick, they come to harass him. And actually, it seems like they threatened to abduct Kumiko and rape her. I really feel like that was
There's a
like
very like dark, yeah. I don't understand, but Chosen is definitely a little bit like he's scarier than Johnny or Kreese or any of the bullies. Like in some ways, something happened in that
there's
village.
right. And like maybe that's I mean, we can talk for a long time about why this movie doesn't work, but it's just, the original one was about like a high school kid taking on high school bullies and forming an unlikely friendship with like an old Japanese man. And here it's like I don't know, I don't feel like the same like vibe of like friendship
Yeah.
and or surrogate fatherhood between Daniel and Miyagi. And maybe because they both have entirely separate plots. And then also it's just like, okay, so he's like it seems like he's fighting the Yakuza or something, which is like, what? Wait,
Because let's
why?
talk about how Sato is like 90% of the movie, he's in a business suit. And then when he kind of has this about face at the end of the movie and like kind of makes peace with Miyagi, he like starts dressing like the other villagers. But I'm telling you, it's like what 100 degrees in Okinawa, and he's in a three-piece business suit the whole time. No one else is, just Sato. So
Right, because they want you to know who he is. He's Sato, the rich guy in the business suit, of course. And yeah, and his change of heart, by the way, and yes, I'm reading the Wikipedia article basically at this point, is that like he and Miyagi are about to have their fight to the death. And at stake is the land title to the village. Okay, sure, why not? On the day of the fight, there's a typhoon, everybody's sheltering. Miyagi and Daniel end up saving Sato from some rubble. And then like they end up like saving a child from a bell tower
sure,
and Chosen like Sato orders Chosen to help, but he refuses. Okay. And Sato helps him instead. And so now he's like on Team Miyagi and he likes Daniel and he disowns his nephew and Chosen runs off in disgrace. So, anyways, then Sato begins dressing not in a three-piece suit to show that he's now a good man, and he gives the land title to the village. And then there's this big festival, and there's dancing, and you kind of think like, "Oh, finally, we're at the end of the movie," but we're not because
oh.
Chosen zip lines in. Yes, that
The word
happens.
zip lines is like it should not be in this movie. Like there should be no zip lining in Okinawa in a Karate Kid movie.
No, nope. But he zip lines in and he takes Kumiko hostage because she's dancing, because she's a dancer, you know.
Sure.
And then yeah, because sure, she's got character.
I was
And then
in
he
her dancing
comes to fight
storyline.
Daniel to the death.
Oh, but
What?
you missed. I mean, this is what's crazy. It feels like we're jumping around a lot. It's because this plot is like a black hole. You missed the part where Daniel accidentally exposes corruption in Chosen's grocery business. Did you even know he had a
Oh,
grocery business?
no, I mean, I knew there was something about weighing onions, and then like they kind of like came to blows over it. But I was like at that point praying for death, so I didn't really put the pieces together.
Well, I mean, it ties into how he insulted Daniel's honor. Or, sorry, Daniel insulted his honor.
Right,
Ugh.
by revealing that he was like stacking the onion bucket or something. Oh my god, this fucking movie. It just keeps going.
Yeah, it felt like 3 hours, but I think it was just a standard 2 hour movie. So why don't we just what I found interesting is I felt like Daniel and Miyagi were very disconnected in this movie. Like it felt like
Oh yeah.
there weren't too many other characters, but they provided enough of a distraction where it's like Daniel's in a village with like 5 people. Miyagi is mourning his father's death. So, that makes sense. Daniel's like, what am I going to do now? And he's like, I guess I'll start romancing Yuki's niece. And I have
And
to say,
developing a rivalry with the local thug. Why not? Sure.
I know. Also, what does he ever reference Yuki or any of these people? Like, it's so weird because he always talks about Miyagi in the series, but he's never talked about Chosen. He's never talked about his hot Okinawan summer.
No.
Do you
I
think
mean
he
that's right.
hasn't been back, right? Do you think that was the last time he went? Would you ever go back to this fucking village after that? After the typhoon?
No. And also, like, just readers or listeners, just so you know, Okinawa is like 1,000 miles away from Tokyo. Like, I imagine he would have gone to Japan at some point, but like, yeah, I think that this is the only time he went. I think that none of these people ever play a role in his life ever again. It's weird, like, because you watch this movie and you're like, there's some things like you see in Cobra Kai, for instance, you see Daniel with the drum, or you see him like breaking blocks of ice, which is something that he learns how to do in this movie in a random scene somewhere. It's not important. Don't worry about it. Um, but like, yeah, for the most part, like it's almost like none of this matters. Like you can sense that like this romance is a summer fling. Oh, I think Yuki ends up going to dance school,
That's a
or
convenient way.
Kumiko.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kumiko, yeah. Yuki's not going anywhere, guys. Yuki is going to
she's
die in
wasted
this
his wife.
village.
Yeah. So it's like at the end of the movie, it's just like, oh, Kumiko's going to dance school. Maybe they'll keep in touch.
Us
Never
their
happens.
Daniel romance. You know what? We give a lot of shit to Allie for like, playing fast and loose with people's hearts. No one talks about how Daniel's kind of a fuck boy. Daniel's
Right?
heading off to Okinawa. He's like, I guess I'll date the only woman in the village that's age appropriate. Oh, well, I mean, no
This is,
tears were
and
shed,
then,
when they split up.
well, I mean, do you want to speculate, like in Cobra Kai season 7, Daniel's love child with Kumiko, who he never knew about, will come back to claim the title of Miyagi-Do?
I mean, yes, I want to see Amanda and Daniel's marriage kind of see some turns because I feel like Amanda puts up with too much shit. So if he did have some sort of like pregnancy, like baby mama drama, that would be interesting. I guess his child would be, ooh, that's right. Ew.
Right?
I could think of so many like terrible. Okay, I have to
What
start.
are you thinking?
What if Daniel's love child with Kumiko comes back and she starts to date uh Anthony or something?
Oh, God, Nina.
Just saying.
Wait, why does your mind always go directly to incest? It's like, do not pass go, go to
There.
incestuous romance.
Okay, I want to talk about why don't we finish out the plot of this horrible movie,
Yeah,
but because then we can
we
take
got
it character by
one thing.
character. The chosen Daniel fight, I guess it's just like the final fight.
Yeah, it's all right. And then like somehow the drum technique comes into it. Like Chosen's winning until like everybody starts using their drums, and Daniel's like, "Oh yeah, that technique I just learned." And then he starts like I don't know using the drum technique to like counter the attacks, and then it's kind of cute. Like when he's like standing over Chosen and he threatens him and says like "live or die, man," and Chosen chooses death. But Daniel just ends up tweaking his nose the same way that Miyagi tweaks
Right.
Grease's
As if
nose, and
it's
it's like,
like even a 2% chance of Daniel killing anybody. Chosen is,
I mean,
we like that guy is fully 35 years old.
Chosen is so much older than Daniel. Or, I mean, I don't know if that's true in real life, but he looks so much older that like you're just looking at this middle-aged man pick on a child. It's so strange.
I know, it's like Chosen is 40, which makes Sato like 70. I don't know.
Yeah. How old is Miyagi supposed to be?
I can't believe I know this. June 2nd, 1929 is his birthday. Because
So
I
he'd
put
be
it
in
in
his
Twitter account. Yeah, let's see, 39. Yeah, he's like,
God.
no, it seems like he should be older, but I guess he was
So his
probably
like, 50s
70,
or something?
50s or
Okay.
60s. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. So yeah. Yeah, Chosen's way too old. Chosen looks like Miyagi's contemporary practically. So that's one thing. That's one thing that's just insane. I did like what you said earlier that like it just seemed like Miyagi and Daniel were like kind of in their own movies. That's like probably the real reason why this fails. Because honestly, if like there was more Miyagi Daniel stuff that worked, then it'd be fine, right?
And yeah, and the stuff that they did reveal about Miyagi's backstory, like they did that a little bit in the first movie, and I feel like it created this complicated picture of Miyagi, and it was endearing. Whereas I felt like we're in Okinawa, we see his father like slowly dying, and I felt nothing. I felt like
Hmm.
this is like so random. In fact, I was more appalled at his treatment of Yuki. Like, let's just talk about how Miyagi essentially ghosted Yuki, okay? Because
Yeah.
the movie ends where she very explicitly says she wants to go to America. She's tired of wasting her life in this godforsaken village. She's waited all this time for Miyagi to make an appearance, and he's just like,
My God.
no, I can't do the long distance thing, and I kind of don't want, like, what if it's awkward? Like Miyagi doesn't even, it's not even explained.
Right. I bet like one day she's waiting for him, and it's like, wait, no, he left for the airport. He never told you. He
He's like,
just
you know what? I'm
like
just gonna
arrived
grab a
and
bag. Why don't you just wait here, and I'll be right back. And Miyagi's like, Daniel, we gotta book it. Like I got women in different zip codes. I think,
yeah. They can't tie me down here. They didn't manage it before, and they're not going to do it now. Yeah. And it's interesting that like what you said about how like his dad's death is just not moving at all. I think like in the first movie when you find out that he lost his like wife and infant son in the internment camps, it's like he is like he's completely drunk and he's incredibly sad, and like you've never seen him like that before, and it just kind of like has such an impact on you. He didn't seem particularly like anything when his dad died. I mean, he doesn't seem like anything in this movie. He just seems like stoically accepting of everything that happens, which isn't even like his personality, really. Like that one
yeah, he's
moment when he like
not.
creases his nose is kind of like who he is. He's a goofy weirdo, and it's just like instead you just see him like be like stereotypical stoic Japanese guy about everything. Oh, my father's dying. I'm coming back to
Yeah,
America.
the
Oh,
tweaking crease on the nose, that was a very Miyagi thing to do. And I was like, okay, that's in character. And then yeah, he's maybe that's why he left this village, because he couldn't really be the real Miyagi there. Like he's just like, I don't understand why I'm just trying to like do the final rites for my dad, and I gotta fight this dude in like a few days. And then I got my
yeah,
ex hanging around, like waiting on me
fuck, man. I just want to tweak people's noses and be a weirdo and
and
catch
get
flies
drunk.
with my
Yeah,
chopstick.
like
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's like that would have been kind of cool to see, like, if there's this contrast between like new kind of Americanized Miyagi and like his hometown. But instead it's like it's interesting. They're trying to like make these weird, not weird, maybe, I don't know, for the time, for the place, accurate points about Japanese culture and honor and stuff. But it's like this is a Karate Kid 2 movie. They can't really do that justice. And so it just ends up seeming like this crazy alien culture where people like challenge you to the death for nothing all the time. And
it's
the
only
love of your
Sato
life, like,
though.
just
Like
never
the
talk.
other villagers are like, I don't know, like I can't get groceries because there's all this corruption, and there's like something wrong with the fish because Sato did something to the fish. They've got real problems, and then Sato's just running around starting feuds. It just makes no
Right.
sense.
That's a good point. But then with the Yuki thing, it's like she's the one who wrote to him and told him his dad was dying. And like he was like, well, how'd you get my address? And she says, I've had it forever. And so basically she's known where he is since he left, and she's been in love with him and unmarried since he left. And she never bothers to contact him. And he asks her why, and she says something about honor. And it's like, what? That's, come on. This is
He doesn't
stupid.
want to. I mean, Sato's kind of a scary guy, so maybe like he was. I can't believe that someone like Sato wouldn't just force her to marry him. I mean, that seems like the way things go in this village. Like, shit.
I mean, I don't even know if Sato was actually in love with her or like even wanted. Do you know what I
That
mean?
is
Like it's like they
love,
got.
Lata, the Karate
Don't
Kid
hurt me,
universe.
Nina. Well, there is one thing about this movie that rocks, and that is the glory of love is on the soundtrack.
Yes,
So
you and it was kind of welcome because like we had this soul deadening experience watching this movie. And by the time it ended, by the time the typhoon hit, I mean, it was like, please get the fuck on the plane and just get out of Okinawa. Like I can't even handle it anymore. And then the credits finally roll, and it's this like epic, uplifting. I mean, it's the greatest thing about this movie is that soundtrack.
and if you think that isn't going to play you out at the end of this episode, you don't know us.
Yeah, it's
Oh God, so
I
good.
was like, our review of this movie will either be 10 minutes or it'll be 3 hours of us ranting about how little sense it made.
The
Um,
life that we can't get back. And we're not even doing anything right now. It's quarantine, but I still resent the 2 and a whatever half hours we spent watching this movie. Oh, God. Why did it suck so much? Actually, yeah. Why did it suck so much, Nina?
okay.
I'm putting this on you.
I think that everything that we liked about, because we were just introduced to Daniel in the first movie and they gave him this like complicated personality, fish out of water. And they made it like the people shit on sequels a lot because they're like, okay, you take the dried out husk of the same characters and then you fill in like 50 other characters that nobody gives a shit about and plot lines that no one's invested in. Like, it would have been enough for me to just continue the evolution of Daniel and Miyagi's relationship in Okinawa, maybe add a little shading. But they had like two scenes together, and it's like no one wants to see drum technique. No one remembers drum technique. And then,
Right.
I mean, none of these movies really, even the series doesn't really give much to its female characters. But at least Allie had a personality, and she kind of anchored the first movie and the rivalry between Johnny and Daniel. And the second movie, it's like, I'm sorry, beyond the fact that it's just terrible writing all around, like Yuki and Kumiko, like tragic figures. Like poor Kumiko when she's not about to get kidnapped by Chosen, she's her dates with Daniel are like, okay, I guess I'll watch you get in a bar fight. I want to go to dance school. Who is
Yeah.
Kumiko? I mean, the questions. And then Yuki, like Yuki is perhaps the most tragic figure in all of cinematic history now that I think about it. I mean, I don't know if you'd agree with this, but I mean,
I mean, it's
have,
either her or Julius Caesar. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, for
Um,
sure, because everyone loves Miyagi, right? Now, Miyagi's memory, at least in Daniel's mind, he's like, he can do no wrong. But we all know now we're introduced to Miyagi, the player, Miyagi that basically walked out on this woman that held a torch for 60 years, 50 years, I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, I think that the alternative was that he was going to have to fight someone to the death. But yeah, no, I see your point where it's just like, okay, well, maybe you should have taken her with you if you really wanted to do this, or I don't know,
You know what
man.
would
I
have been
feel like,
cool, or at least a little, like I can't actually believe that this wasn't part of the plot line, is if Miyagi had a love child, but maybe that would have tied him to Okinawa, and they were like, we need this like Okinawa chapter to get wrapped up with his dad dying,
right?
like
You
ghosting
need him to come
Yuki.
back to California where like he has nothing left waiting for him except his relationship with Daniel, which he seems to be kind of resentful of and desperate to leave at this point. But yeah, I mean it would actually be cool if Miyagi had like another son because that would have given Daniel like an actual emotional
Yeah, and then
conflict.
the soundtrack would have included Papa Was a Rolling Stone.
And everyone would have been happy. I know.
Right.
God, missed opportunity, guys. Because you're right. If you want to like actually like I mean, I don't. If you want to complicate Miyagi and Daniel's relationship, I think the whole thing is that he sees Miyagi as his father. But what if Miyagi had another son, or like I don't know. Like they really don't do anything with their relationship here. It's really stupid. It's just the whole
Wait,
time you're
didn't
like,
they
wait, why
agree
did
that
Daniel come?
Miyagi did have children? Am I making that up?
Um, Miyagi had like a son with his wife, like the one that he married in America, but he died when he was an infant
Oh, that's right.
in the internment camp. Yeah, so that would have been the heir to Miyagi-Do if tragedy and you know horrific
Um,
political decisions hadn't struck.
I
But
know.
I like to imagine that he had like a love child everywhere, like you do, and then that would be
You
complicated.
know what
That
I
would
would
be
really
interesting.
love is if the child he abandoned is like this badass woman in the village and she was like, "You left us to die in this village and be ruled by Sato. You could have saved us." And she comes back to wreak havoc and starts her own rival dojo. What do you think? I
Okay, all right. I'm picking up what you're putting down. It's like a Kill Bill meets Karate Kid kind of thing.
exactly.
Okay, all right. Somebody pay attention and like reboot this series for the 17th time and write that sequel. I'm ready for
You
it.
know what really
I'm
worries me is that the third season of Cobra Kai, we don't know when it's coming out. I mean, it feels like it should be in the next few months, Lord willing. But it's supposed to take place partially in Okinawa.
oh
So,
jeez.
I mean, what do you think that would entail? Like, this movie leaves so little. Like, I know that they did great things with the first movie where, like, they didn't really flesh out Johnny's character in the first or the subsequent movies, but, he's this fully realized person in the series. Like, I wonder if they're going to do that for Chosen or fucking Kumiko.
Can they rehab Okinawa after what they've done to it? It's the thing is though, like with this movie is that like okay, like I said, if the Miyagi Daniel stuff had worked, it would have been a better movie. But like ultimately, that like no, these guys are not moving to Okinawa. Like nothing they do in this movie matters. None of the relationships they build in this movie matter because you'll never see these characters again. So it's like that's kind of how I'd feel like when if season 3 has like a section that takes place in Okinawa, then it's like nothing they do there really matters except as to how it impacts. Like I assume it would be like Daniel and Samantha going or something like that. And I don't know, man. I
Can
mean,
you
Daniel and
imagine
Samantha are not
Samantha
really.
in this fucking Can you imagine
I
her
want
in this
Samantha to have her
village?
own romance with like a village boy or something. But yeah, the thing is, it's like then it's going to be focused on the lessons they learn while they're in Okinawa. Which I'm sorry, like neither of those characters are interesting enough for me to want to see that. You know what? I say that, but prove me wrong, show. Prove me wrong.
That's true. Oh man. Um,
Or Okinawa, the rise of Anthony. That's where he learns his skills.
I really want to see that. Okay, I'm on Mr. Miyagi's wiki page now because we got to get the facts right. I did get his birth date. It's June 9th, 1925. And he apparently emigrated to Hawaii as a teenager where he worked as a farm laborer in the Hawaiian cane fields and met his wife, who was also a farm laborer. So it makes it it's like a teen romance with Yuki.
Right.
So
A teen romance that Yuki has held in her heart for
that
like
makes it
80
all the
years.
more tragic. Oh my god. Maybe that's why
Yeah,
he's
and
so weird
Miyagi like
about
met his
her because
future wife a day later.
he's like, I gotta leave Okinawa because I'm not gonna get into this feud with Sato over my high school girlfriend. I gotta
Stage
go.
one clinger. And then
Right.
so he ends up in LA with a stage one clinger named Daniel. I mean, poor guy. It's just,
That's
what is he
true.
going to do?
I mean, the deeper question is why is Daniel attracted to such avoidant personalities?
It has to do with his missing father. I'm sure there's a lot of psychoanalysis that goes on
Wow.
with
Yeah, and we can get into it right now, guys.
Oh.
um, yeah, so I'm just thinking Sato is a reformed character by the end of this movie. Chosen is like the hawk of this movie, I will say.
He
He
zip lines into the finale.
a dude
What
that's
are you going to
ziplining in to like break up a traditional dance ceremony. This guy gives no fucks. Okay.
And all of it's because it's like apparently his honor has been dishonored or something. And it's just like, wait, you think ziplining in during a festival
You
will
kind of get the
somehow
feeling
what make
though
people
that
admire you? You seem like a
chosen someone who feels dishonored all the time. Just like walking down to the beach and someone looks at him the wrong way, dishonored. Going down to the one bar, more dishonored.
pigeon flies by. He's been
That
dishonored.
pigeon is fucking out
Yeah,
of here, dishonored.
you know what? You're right. And I
Yeah.
feel that way too in life. Like, no, people never honor me enough. And I get it. I get it. We should hear Chosen's side of the story.
Oh my God, that's perfect. Yeah. You know, chosen, maybe from his side, he's like, look, my uncle's a psychopath and he wears a business suit. I've been drafted into this weird grocery business, but all the onions are rotten. So I'm just trying to like turn a profit. Villagers take it out on me. I got no friends. And this Daniel Punk is basically dating the only eligible. He's like, I'm
Right?
40 and there's one teenager and a bunch of old villagers. There's no one around.
And somehow I'm
Yeah.
the head of like this weird Yakuza organization that exists for a village of 5 people. What the hell have I done with my life? I am 40 after all. I mean, where's my respect? Yeah, no, I get it. Chosen's
And
like an
just remember,
anti-hero.
not just that, but remember when he was given the option of living or dying, he chose death. He wanted to die.
Yeah. No, it's
Daniel
actually really
condemned
sad.
him. He was like, no, you got to keep living here. I'm going to peace out back to LA.
Yet Daniel took his honor away and wouldn't even give him the sweet release of death. Think about that. What's Chosen been doing since then?
Hopefully plotting his revenge wherever he's at.
Right, because everybody on the island of Okinawa apparently like carries grudges and crushes and everything for like 80 years. So I imagine he's still
What
there.
a terrible curse, right? You can't let anything go. But that's really what Daniel's about. Daniel doesn't let anything go either. So
Good
wherever
point. Maybe
Daniel
this is like
goes,
his
he like
spiritual home.
curses the people.
Or like his experiences in Okinawa taught him never let it go.
Never let
Remember
it
always.
go. Although, I mean, if you met Yuki, would you be like, that's who I want to model my life after?
Oh god. Oh god. Just thinking about this movie now is bumming me out.
It
And
really
we're in
is depressing
quarantine.
because I feel like it feels like I'm in a Mortal Kombat game. Like it feels like it's a video game adaptation because it has none of the like I can't actually believe it's a direct sequel to Karate Kid, which had all the elements of a story and a movie and characters you care about. It's just uh yeah, and I say this as like I don't even have high standards for this kind of thing because
No, she does not. She has really low standards. Um,
I
Case
mean
in
I love
point,
the
you
third
made me watch
movie.
Malice, and she's like in love with Terry Silver from The Karate Kid 3. But Nina is like, nope, too far movie, too cheesy for me.
Yeah, I mean,
This is a
if you're
biggie.
gonna make someone like comically bad, you have to really lean into that like I don't know, Sato just a charisma void. Chosen, he either
Chosen seems like an extra from another movie. Like I said, he's like totally threatening to rape a local girl at one point. And it's like, you're not a cheesy, over the top villain. You're just kind of like, well, first of all, like, why are you 40 and why are you a psychopath? And where'd you get the zip line from?
yeah, it almost
I'm
felt
actually
like
okay with
Karate
it.
Kid 2 was like their gritty reboot or something.
Right. And it's just like, what? Wait, who thought this was a good idea? Why would you do that? Like, just, I mean, they could have made Okinawa work if some of the other elements had been in line, but since they weren't, it was basically just like, watch these people have a random adventure with people you'll never see again. Cool.
I think I mentioned the film is among the highest grossing films of 1986 and the highest grossing in the franchise. Isn't that wild? It's like I can understand maybe the first opening weekend people are like, I really want to see the sequel to Karate Kid, but surely when the word got out, I can't actually imagine how it beat the third one or the first one or any of the others 10 sequels.
Yeah, that is actually, I mean, I understand it was probably like sequels do well sometimes because it's like a whole bunch of people had seen the first one, maybe like when it came out, maybe on video, and they came to the theater for the second one. And maybe the second one sucked so hard that people didn't show up for the third one, or not as many. Maybe.
Yeah, jeez.
But
Um,
the third one really is the actual like spiritual sequel to the first one. The second one is like totally like it lifts right out.
yeah, I mean, from what I like, there's no mention. Was there any mention of bonsais and like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, he never mentions bonsais, which are like his love. That's odd.
Yeah, it's like he's not Miyagi in this. He's like a Miyagi pod.
Yeah, and he doesn't like the things that he likes aside from karate, like bonsai and like cars and things like that. Like there's none of that. He's just this old Japanese guy.
Aw.
Yeah.
um, okay, closing thoughts.
If you are listening to this, I don't, and you're like also alone and bored during quarantine, and you're like, I think I have watched everything, and I'll watch anything at this point. Don't watch this movie. There's
Just
got to be
listen to
something
yourself.
else out
Love
there.
yourself more than that.
Yeah, self-care is the word of the day, and two words, phrase of the day. And yeah, don't watch this movie. We did it for you because we love you.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what I've got to say.
And really, there's no value in drum technique. I'll say that now. I mean, I'm confident the drum
Oh.
technique will not save your life. I'm Team Chosen for the record. Now that we know who he is and how he's been wronged by Daniel, because we know it's Daniel's fault somehow. Daniel's fucking up right, left, and center, and it's a good thing that he left those poor Okinawans alone. I want to see, did he save anybody from the typhoon, or maybe he caused the typhoon? Think about
Oh,
that.
yeah, no. Chosen controls the weather. I think that's like kind of implied by the movie.
So what rating would you give?
Ooh, I give it half a sad love interest waiting 80 years on the banks of.
Stole mine. Um, I'll give it 1 star. 1 out of 5. Daniel stalking Miyagi to Okinawa trips, stowing away, cashing in the loan that his mom put in. I don't know, it got away from me. His poor mom.
It's fair though. I know, right? She's probably like, "Where did he go? He followed that Japanese man to his homeland. Why? Okay,
I just
whatever.
want to
Not
see
dealing."
one scene where she's like, I don't know what's happening with those two. Like just at a certain level, a parent's got to wonder. You know, why don't you have any friends your own age? Even
Oh,
when he's going to bury his dad, you can't let him go for 2 weeks.
right. And it's not like Miyagi was like, "I really need the emotional support." Miyagi's like, "Why are you here?" But man, we've spent about an hour talking about this movie, and that is longer than the writers spent scripting it out. I swear to God.
Oh hell
Like, just
yes.
okay. You sound defeated. You sound like
Um,
chosen on the floor of the arena after
already
ziplining
feel
in.
as bitter as chosen after this movie. I can't. Yeah. So I think we should pour one out for Yuki, who is presumed dead. I think. I'm on her wiki. I looked her up, and they don't say a lot about it. They say the script for the second film would have had Mr. Miyagi fleeing over the stigma of his younger self, professing his love for Happa, or half Japanese woman. Interesting backstory. Um,
Yeah.
but the character was a last minute addition to the film. Look, if they had
Okay.
given her that backstory, it would have actually been a backstory, and it wouldn't have just been like this random woman who's kind of acting a little thirsty.
Yeah, it would have
I
been like a random woman with like one personality trait instead of no personality traits. That would be something.
Man, I can't believe they're like, let's just cut that. We need more random interactions with Chosen.
Oh God. It can be assumed that Yuki is deceased, says her fandom page. Fair enough. Well, Yuki, I hope you died as you lived.
Did Yuki
Incredibly
commit
depressing.
suicide? I don't know. Just throwing that out here.
She died of a broken heart, Nina.
Oh
So
God.
yeah, probably.
Okay. How do we close out these movies? Is it strike first?
Well, I mean, should it be? Because, like, strike first, strike hard, no mercy is, of course, the Cobra Kai slogan, but there is no Cobra Kai
That's true.
presence in this movie. I mean,
You're so far away
like,
from Cobra Kai. Okay.
what is there? Does Sato have like a saying? Does Chosen have a saying? Is there a Chosen quote we can use? Hold
Oh
up,
my
I'm
god,
looking this
I'm on
up
Chosen's
right
page
now.
right now. We're gonna do this here. I'll put it in there.
Wait,
And they have
you insult my honor again. I'll kill you.
I love that they chose such a violent quote. They don't even have anything deep for him.
Nope, you insult my honor again. I'll kill you. Okay, you want to do it?
Yeah. You insult my honor again.
I'll kill you.